everyone. This is Tracy from Salontraining.com. We are happy to say that we are here today with Susan Wos. What is your company's name?
Well, I've got two, actually. I've got a software company called Enlighten Hire, and I've also got a local hiring and recruiting business called Salon Spa Connection.
That's awesome. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, about the Salon Connection. I'm pretty excited about it. You have an interesting and unique, it's such a niche. So we'll talk about that in a second. So if you're just joining us, you may be seeing this on Facebook. You may be seeing this on YouTube. We just opened up salontraining.com 2.0. So for those of you that are not sure what that is yet, it is a website. It's a directory for the beauty industry. Professionals can go on if they're looking for trainers, education. You can look for classes that are live, in person, virtual, and soon to be pre-recorded. So we are excited that it's open. And you can also do job listings, like if you're looking for a job, or if you're a salon or spa owner, you can, if you're watching this in September 2022, right now we have free job listings for 2 months. So we're excited that you guys are on here, and let's go ahead and jump into what our topic is today, because it is a huge topic and very important one about hiring and recruiting. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Susan?
I will, but I first want to say that I'm really excited for your platform because I think that education is so important and it's gone by the wayside. It's changed so much in the last couple of years, and finding a platform or having a platform for non-brand affiliated and brand affiliated educators and providers is super important. Just that sort of general space for everybody to hang out and get access to these people. I have to say kudos to you because that too is quite a need.
Oh, thank you so much. And we hope each week and each month it's going to continue to grow. So, all right. So tell me, how did you start in your business? Are you in the salon business? Are you not in the salon business? Who are you? Let's start with that.
Well, I would say 4 years ago, I was a nobody, and I really liked that. I've never been someone, I've always been really ambitious, and I've always been a problem solver, but really flew under the radar. And so, I kind of wanted to transition out of being a hairstylist. I'm a single mom, and I got really concerned about what if I break my leg? And so then I just kind of went from there and thought, well, what is it I'm good at? What do I have experience in? And so I've been a licensed cosmetologist for 28 years in Kansas City, and I've worked in a variety of not only salons, but just different environments. I actually used to own a salon. I went into salon ownership by accident, which I think is pretty common in our industry. It's not, a lot of us don't really plan all the stuff out. We kind of just jump in.
Okay, what do you mean by accident? How did that happen? We got to hear that story.
Well, I was, I was 24 years old, and I worked at a large, what was the largest commission salon in Kansas City at the time, the number one. And of course, that was a different time. And we got bought out by someone else, and it really wasn't a place that I wanted to go. And so I started to think about my options. I had built for 2 or 3 years, and was feeling pretty confident. And so I looked into doing booth rental, which was actually a newer concept back then. And then I decided that I really saw an opportunity. There were so many awesome hairstylists where I worked. And so I thought, well, maybe give them a place to hang out and I could be a business owner. And it was literally that thought process. And I just took it from there. I got an SBA loan and opened up a salon down the street from where I was working. And I was fortunate enough to walk into salon ownership, relatively full. I went from friend though to salon owner, which was difficult. And so we did that really well for 5 years. I was fortunate. I was able to attract employees, and we actually ended up going hybrid at some point just because I did have a couple people leave, that were booth rental. And I thought, well, how do I keep the people I love and keep everybody happy? And so, tons of struggles as a salon owner. I didn't go into it with any type of business training, which I think is also relatively common. I just went in with a good idea and I had an opportunity, and I just went from there. So back in those days, there were several issues that I saw arise. I was really frustrated by the opportunities, not only for education, but for hiring. There really weren't any great resources, especially back then. I would ask my sales consultant, where do I find, employees outside of students? Where do I access these people? And there really wasn't any great resource. And that was super frustrating. Not only that, but like when I would get someone, how do you know they're fitting into your culture? That was difficult. Oh my gosh, we went through a couple of people and it was a total disaster. A couple of them were. And I thought, how do I hone in on not only what works best for me, but who this person is? And that was something I was never really able to dial down on. And so I sold my salon after 5 years. I sold it on my own. I had gone through a broker, which I found largely did not only understand the salon industry, but really wasn't that helpful. The people that he brought to me weren't fruitful, they weren't serious, or they wanted something different. I had an excellent business model where it was hybrid, and that was sort of a newer concept. And so after that contract ended, I ended up selling it myself. And so that was a whole nother story, a whole nother venture, but it was great. And it was sort of a different, scheme where I had, I was paid out for a couple of years based on who I brought to the salon. So I left my location, we had 12 people. And so all 12 people went over to the new salon, and then I was paid out based on what they brought in. So I've had a lot of different diverse experience. I moved overseas to New Zealand for a year to work, and that was really, really different. It was really largely just only commission based. And so that was a great experience for me because I walked in as a senior stylist, but it was a total culture shock. It was really, really different. It was wonderful. And I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. It really wasn't for me overall, but I just think it was so different. Not only in every state in the United States, but really every country, the nuances of the way that we do business and the way things work are quite different. And so, yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Good. It's good to have so many different experiences too, because then whenever you go and talk about what we're talking about today, hiring and recruiting, you definitely have some skin in the game. And I think sometimes people come in and they want to be an educator right out of the gate, right out of school. And that's great. I love the ambition, but sometimes whenever you have the experience first, that makes all the difference. So let's talk about hiring and recruiting, because that is huge. People need to know how to do it, where to go. Some salons just have been struggling for months and months to find the right team members. So what's your thoughts?
Oh man, I have a lot of thoughts. I think that things have changed pretty drastically. Obviously, the allure of the suites has been a real issue for a lot of salon owners outside of possibly New Jersey and Pennsylvania, because I know you guys don't have tons of them, but it's really changed the dynamic of not only what the opportunities are for the licensed professional, but just, what their thought process is, even from getting into school, and like I deal with a lot of cosmetology schools, and I find that a lot of the students already know they want to be independent and they want to be, but the big issue is they don't understand what that really looks like and what that means and how to sustain it. And so this is really problematic, not only for the licensed professional, but for the salon owner. I think that hiring and recruiting has changed so much, especially through COVID. It is very, very difficult to find the licensed professional outside after they get out of school. Short of reaching out to them on Instagram and poaching them. It is very, very hard to access them. And so many salon owners who are looking to hire are just kind of like this, like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know where to go. And, the formula to success, in my mind, for salon owners is having an online presence, being able to be found, and being able to translate your offerings and your message effectively. And that is really, really lost in translation with a lot of people. There's a lot of like post and pray. There's a lot of, well, where are these people? I want to complain about it, but I don't really want to do anything about it. Or I want to buy an Indeed ad and expect that to be fruitful. And honestly, the secret to success is being your own recruiter. You know, I do a pretty good job here in Kansas City. I've worked my tail off to not only create a presence, but to create a platform for everyone to connect. And that has been successful. But I know what it takes. I know how you have to continue to show up, and you have to provide value, and you have to provide non-brand affiliated assistance. And that's very, very difficult to duplicate, you know, in multiple markets. So, you know, I coach salon owners all the time. I do consulting. We have tons of different resources, and I'm always coaching them on a website. Have a functioning website. Just having a Facebook page or a Vagaro link or whatever it is that, you know, is outside of a normal face or a normal website, it's just not good enough for a number of reasons. People don't take you seriously. When they see that, they leave. I mean, when they're like, you know, they come on your site and your site is a Vagaro site and they see, oh, okay, I can book an appointment or I can get directions, they're gone. At least the ones that really value their own career and their own professionalism, they're not going to hang out and hope that you get something better. You have to start great. You know, you have to have a beautiful website. It doesn't have to be expensive or complicated. It just needs to be efficient. And I see a serious lack of even just a careers page or work with us page on many salon owner sites. You know, one of my best friends here in Kansas City, she's got one of the top spas. And we were talking a couple months ago, and I said something about a careers page. She goes, oh, well, I don't have one. And it's just one of those things that kind of gets overlooked. You're making the assumption that people are going to guess how to apply with you and how to get a hold of you. And that is an inaccurate assumption. I would say number two is making an effort on social media. You know, social media is a beast. It's very difficult. It is very, very time consuming. It is something that a lot of salon owners just kind of they'll half-ass it a little bit, or they either go all out and it's amazing, or they just don't even bother. That's another way to be found. You know, that is where licensed professionals go to check you out. And so if they are on Instagram and they don't see any recent posts, or if they don't see effort, the ones that value their career are gone. So that was kind of a long answer to.
No, you have two really good points already. I totally agree. A website, you have to. Any business actually should. I know many businesses that only rely on social media. So what happens if that social media goes down? First of all, what if it goes down for a week? What do you do? Second, I 100% agree with you on people will not take you serious if you do not have a serious website. And the efforts of social media, I think that is definitely top, because if you're just doing like a post of your work, you know, here's the hair color, but if you're really looking to hire, there should be interviews with your team members on there, why you like to work here, you know, do more things than just posting a picture of your clients. So,
absolutely. Well, and here's the deal is that pros and students who come on your website or your social media, they want to see the owner, they want to see the team, they want to understand who they're dealing with and what they're getting into before they even apply. And so if people can't see that, they're not interested. You know, it's a big old question mark that they're just going to move on to the next owner who does do that, and they're going to lodge interest with them. You know, hiring and recruiting it's an ongoing effort. It is not something that a lot of people think, oh, well, you know, let me fill my chairs and then I don't have to worry about it. There's very few salon owners, whether it's commission, booth rental, hybrid, that don't have openings. It is an ongoing effort, always,
yeah.
perpetual.
I'm a big fan. I'm not sure if you are too, it sounds like, but I'm a big fan of never not hire, even if you don't need to hire, meaning like you may not need them at that particular time, but never say you're not hiring. Take those applications, because in a day, in a flash, in an hour, you can need to fill that position. You can go back to those applications and call whenever you need to.
Absolutely. Every salon owner, unfortunately, is, you know, an inch away from a walkout. You never know what's going on behind the door. You don't know, you know, if this team is truly happy, or if they're planning something, or if someone gets pregnant, or someone dies, or someone moves. I mean, there's just, I was full when I sold my salon, but I always still took applicants just in case. I wanted to create that relationship, create that familiarity, and get my name in their head. And I think anyone who doesn't do that is probably headed towards disaster.
Great. Yeah. Well, let's go back to your particular platform that you have. I think it's very unique and it's very awesome. So let's talk about that a little bit. What is your platform in Kansas City?
So Kansas City, I started in 2018. Kind of just one of the industry issues I think that we have is that we don't have a lot of non-brand affiliated offerings. I think that we get a lot of, okay, buy this or do that, and then it all kind of goes into distributors or product companies. And I've always felt like that was a problem. The beauty industry is about as dirty as politics, honestly. It is. And so I thought I'm a really great middleman. I don't give any preference. I don't care who it is. I will help anybody who asks me for help, regardless of what they're doing, who they are. And so I really just started with this idea of, let me connect people. Let me listen to salon owners, spa owners, barbershop owners. Let me listen to students and licensed professionals and understand what it is they're looking for, and therefore kind of just providing recommendations. And so I will say that in 2018, I had no tech skills at all. I was a Facebooker, pictures of kids, that kind of thing. I mean, zero. Like I had literally no idea what I was getting into.
Boy, we sound a lot alike right now.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like, holy cow, and so I just sort of adapted. So I started putting some posts out there. I actually was not even a member of Facebook groups locally, which was really funny. I was in a suite at the time, and I had a suite mate. She's like, oh, well, you should join this group in Kansas City where there's 4,000 people. I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be great. I mean, that was literally at nothing. And so I just started to post and say, hey, I'm willing to provide advice. If you guys want to go between, or if you want to know, which opportunities suit you best, I can help you with that. And that's where it started. And it grew relatively fast. People really liked that there was someone helping. And, I am an introvert, believe it or not. And so it was really difficult for me to continue to put myself out there and to do all those things, on social media where it's like, oh, hey, here's me, I can help. But that's just the nature of the beast. And so that's where I started. And I realized I started to attract some people, some salon owner clients that were not really interested in the personal referral service, but they saw what we were doing. They saw that we were growing, and they just wanted to advertise, like basically a listing, right? And so I'm like, well, we can do that, but that would require a really great website. And so I got a Squarespace website and got a brand designer, and that was great because I could then have a place, like it was literally pen and paper when I started in Microsoft Word. And so my own website was actually the way that I started to keep things organized. And then, so it grew and grew and grew and created more relationships and just loved what I was doing. And then the pandemic hit. And this personal service that I was doing, it was just crazy for a couple months. We were out of work for 8 weeks. And after that, of course, everybody's calling. They know Salon Spa Connection. Susan, call Susan. What's going on, Susan? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. Like, I just, I'm riding it out just like you guys. And so after the dust settled, I would say in summer of 2020, the floodgates opened for me. And everybody wanted that personal connection. Everybody wanted that advice. And I got overwhelmed really fast. And so I was sort of faced with a choice of this personal service is what has set us apart. Job listings are great. Indeed, whatever. Job boards are wonderful. It's a great place to a frame of reference. But what they wanted was the personal service. Well, there's only so much of me to go around. And I've always wanted to grow out of Kansas City. And so what I did was I thought, well, I can either give up and just go job board, right? I can just constantly advertise and market my owners, or I can find a way to adapt my personal service on a large scale. And so it was sort of this back and forth, like, what does that look like? You know, I'm still learning tech. I'm still learning all of these things. It's like, do I have it in me to really make a huge change? And I decided I did. And so I started developing Enlighten Hire. And, you know, I'll back up just a little bit. One of the biggest things that made my personal service difficult was the failure on both sides of hiring in booth rental to really clarify what it is they want, what it is that works for them. You know, salon owners largely have super inefficient hiring processes and intake and all the things. They really, you know, we have massive turnover for a reason. For a reason. People are not clear about what it is they want, need, and prefer. And so I took all of the things that I had learned from my licensed professionals, my students, my schools, my owners, and really just made a comprehensive hiring system. And so what Enlighten Hire does is my personal service, except way better. And so it does so much more. And so really what it does is it evaluates, it asks the hard questions. You know, what it is you're offering? Who are you? What is it you're looking for? I mean, it's not an easy sign up. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And I've had so many people say, wow, these are things I've never thought of. I'm like, good. That's what I'm hoping for. That's exactly right. Because you need to think about these things, because all of these things grouped together actually are what happiness is long-term in a salon. And so Enlighten Hire allows anybody, a licensed professional, student, salon owner, anybody who's looking for sort of that assessment, like how does this person fit in with what I offer or what I need? That's what Enlighten Hire does. It provides compatibility results. And so all of our users get this huge list of areas where they're aligned and areas where they're not. And so they can go in and really hone in on an interview, or, you know, even just like filter through the ones that aren't. You know, let's not waste anybody's time. Let's just go to the ones that are super compatible and go from there. So it just really provides that information that people are not getting from social media. They're not getting from resumes. They're not getting because they don't know how to answer or ask the right questions. So I basically created this program that does it for them.
Great.
Yep.
We talked about this a couple different times. I know you and I had, and some other trainers have. I think it was brought to my attention one time that, well, Tracy, why would I be on this site? Because I can already be on someone else's site. And you and I talked about this too. You should be on as many sites as you can. It is not competitive as far as, well, I signed up with this one and they might think that I'm on someone else's platform. You should. You're hiring. You're getting your message out. You should not be quiet about your message. You should be getting it out on as many platforms as you can. If you can be interviewed from other particular people, if you can interview your stylist, if you can interview anybody, like be on each other's platforms, whether you're a trainer, a salon owner, or a stylist, get noticed, right?
Exactly. I went to a school the other day, and I always tell the students about, Salon Spa Connection, and now I'm starting to talk about Enlighten Hire. And one of the students said, well, do you have jobs on your website that Indeed doesn't have? I said, oh yeah, I don't know that we have a lot of what Indeed has. I was like, we have 400 opportunities just locally of all shapes and sizes. Like, definitely check Indeed, excuse me, and then come to us. We are more representative of that independent salon owner. Corporations are great. They offer wonderful things. The independent salon owner doesn't have that representation. They don't have the budget to spend hundreds of dollars a month on Indeed. And so, giving that some affordable space, as many as there are, absolutely join all of them.
Right.
Get as much exposure as possible.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for today. So just to recap, ways to hire. We talked about creating a website, being on social media, never stop taking applications, and get your message out there wherever you can. So.
Absolutely. And we've got a ton of freebies on Enlighten Hire. It's all about hiring and recruiting, kind of like, we made a list of what licensed professionals are looking for. So if salon owners are really needing to understand where to start, they can download our list. And we've got all kinds of hiring and recruiting tips. And the freebie page is at the very bottom of the Enlighten Hire homepage. You just go all the way down and you can download several of our free hiring and recruiting tips.
Great, wonderful. And if you're watching this live today, it will be on YouTube here soon, and we'll put that link on there as well for you. So the Enlighten Hire link, they can check it out. And then if you want to, Susan, you can put that on our Facebook group as well, so that they can find it a lot easier, or even in the comments. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed today, and I look forward to hearing more about you and learning more about your program and seeing how it goes. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.